Good day, everyone. Welcome to another interview here on the Lockup Podcast. Today's is with Nick Aldis. I've been giving you some little clips, some short little snippets, and you'll be seeing those entire interviews in their entirety, very soon. But I want to give you today's episode with Nick, the whole thing, start to finish, because it was a really good chat, and I think you'll enjoy it. And please stay tuned. Lots more coming from me, from Taryn, from both of us. You'll be loving it. Lockup Podcast. Check it out. Away we go. Nick.
Yeah, first, let me just stop you right there. I mean, but how was that 2 seconds and you went, Nick.
It's been a really long day.
Yep.
I know who you are.
Okay.
You're very handsome.
I'll take your word for it.
You're very handsome. But I did have a brain.
Flattery's gonna get
but I did have a brain fart.
It's okay.
And I love that you busted me on it because now we're almost friends.
I'll know it's the slightest mistake.
Now we're almost famous.
It's why I have no friends.
Nick, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best.
Okay.
How important it is? See, I can't even say the phrase right. How important is it to look this sharp?
To me?
Yes.
10. I'll tell you why. Because think about what we're doing, okay?
What are we doing?
We're in a room full of people, thousands of people who've come from all over the country, all over the world, who love wrestling, and they're going to pay us to take a picture with us or get something signed, have an experience, and depending on how busy it's going to be, we're talking about less than a minute, 20, 30 seconds maybe. The least I can do is give those people the same version of me that they see on the show. You know what I mean?
Right.
For me, it's not about trying to look rich or affluent, or it's not about trying to be anything in particular. It's about professionalism so that the audience get like the full experience. That's kind of, for me, I'm kind of like, I want to look like something special. And when I put on the suits, it's like, that's my thing. I enjoy it. It changes my mood. I feel better. I present myself better. It's the best version of me for this environment. So for me, it's a kind of added value for the customer.
So first of all, that's awesome. It's very genuine and heartfelt, I can tell. When you were coming up, right, how long did it take you to sort of find this version of you?
That's a good question.
That's all I do is ask good questions. Other than forgetting people's names.
Get the words in the right order.
And forgetting the person's name.
I promise the question's a good one. If I can just get the words in the right order, it'll be all right.
Exactly.
So I would say, and this is going to sound awfully pretentious, but I think I'm still trying to find it. Right? Like, I think it's always a work in progress. It's kind of, I think that for me, it was about, when I turned 30, that was kind of when I really started to actually, for the first time, feel sort of comfortable in my own skin, and like, now this is sort of fully formed, right? Like, which is funny when you consider that 6 years of my career on, international television with TNA and stuff, and I was a kid. I look back on it now and I cringe. Like, I go, oh, just imagine if I had that platform now, because I look back at that stuff and it's like, some of it's good, but it's not quite fully formed.
Right.
It's not quite all the way there. So, and I feel like once we started with the NWA and I was sort of put in that position where it was kind of like sink or swim. Like, you're gonna make people care about this belt or not, because the history was there, the legacy was there, but it had been dormant, right? So my objective was sort of, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna commit 100% to it and pay the homage to Harley and Dusty and Rick and, Jack Briscoe and Dory and all the way back, because otherwise, what's the point? So for me, it was like, some of these shows were in front of like 50 people, but every time I was like, suit, gear, the full deal, the referee's instructions, the full intro, because it's like, that's the only way you would get it to work. If you believe, they believe, right? Like if you're committed, then they can commit to you, because it's a symbiotic relationship with the audience, right? It's like they're paying their money, they want to be taken on a ride. So if you're not willing to fully commit, then they're not gonna fully commit to getting behind you.
You know, you mentioned that thing about being cringy, because I read that once about like writing, and like, I read this thing from 5 years ago and I cringed. It's like, well, you should.
Yeah.
It means that you've grown as a writer or as a performer.
100%.
So if you don't cringe at your old work, right?
Right, absolutely. I think when the day comes where you look back on what you're doing and you go, man, nailed it.
Right.
You're probably on the way down, you've probably peaked.
Right.
So yeah, for me, I'm always, I like most people, they say they're their own worst critic, but yeah, I agree with you.
But I really liked what you said about that particular belt, because it's not like we don't want to like rank what a championship belt means, but having that. Did you have like long conversations with? Long day for me. Did you have long conversations with Billy about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, we quite often when if we're kind of kicking something around or discussing kind of future plans, or my voice is usually the one in the conversation, sort of reminding everybody like it has to be anchored in the championship. Like to me is the sort of the base, the anchor of the whole brand. It's like, it's the lineal heavyweight championship of the world, when you think about it.
The only one, you mean?
It's the lineal. So in boxing, you have the lineal heavyweight champ. So in other words, even there are other organizations, but the lineal heavyweight champion is the one who beat the last guy who beat the guy, and for us, like, when you look at it, it's like the WWF title spawned from the NWA title, and then all of those at WCW, even ECW, the sort of pivotal moments in the industry's history up until kind of the 90s. It was like all of those belts in some way, shape or form were a kind of there was a tree branch, back to the NWA belt. So we sort of looked at it, and look, the championship is only as valuable, one, as you make it, and two, as the people who have held it before. And in that, in that regard, we had it easy. It's as real as you make it, right? Like, I said to when Matt beat Trevor for the belt, Billy and I were discussing a part of it, and we were discussing, Trevor was legitimately, he's heartbroken, right? And and I said, it's your belt till someone beats you for it, right? Like it's all bullshit until you're the world champion, and it's like, it sounds silly, but ask the guys who have held like a real legitimate world championship, and they'll all tell you the same thing. It's like, it means something. Like, it's not, you don't feel necessarily, I'm the best, like I want it, but it's this feeling of like, I'm part of history now, and if you don't, I don't think anyone would ever, certainly not in the NWA in its current form, nobody would even get a sniff of being the NWA champion if they didn't feel that way. Like you have to feel that way about the championship to even sort of be in the conversation.
Like, dream about it.
Yeah, you have to really appreciate like what you're about to kind of take on. It's a bit like it's almost like holding office.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's sort of like, hey, if you want it, like there's a responsibility that comes with it.
It used to mean a little bit more, but we don't have to go there.
No, yeah, but
when I was a young person being president,
hey, well,
it's a little bit different.
Yes, but that's sort of the way that I look at it. It's like you're being trusted with the responsibility of kind of carrying representing the brand, and then in turn representing the audience, representing the NWA fans, and representing the lineage of the belt. So all those guys that came before.
Do you know how many men held it before you? Do you
I
even
don't know how many.
Have you gone through the Wikipedia?
No, I have. I was told that I think now in terms of total combined days,
right.
I think I'm somewhere around like number 5 or 6 all time.
Right.
In the modern era, long title reigns are very rare now. Like,
right.
I know Roman's having like a long run with
right.
the WWE belt and stuff like that, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not often anymore that you get that. And again, that's just something that it wasn't necessarily something we planned and went, okay, this is what we're going to do. But it just after a while, it started to feel like this is a significant thing in and of itself.
Right. All right. So I like to ask folks that travel a bit, like yourself, in America, what is your go-to order at the Waffle House?
Oh, Waffle House? I usually do the 2 chicken breasts, but it's like the steak and eggs thing, but I do chicken breasts. So
right.
Like chicken breasts, eggs over medium.
Right.
Hash browns, and then a pecan waffle.
And a pecan waffle?
Oh, yeah.
What do you put on the hash browns?
Well, I just eat them with the eggs. I mean, just some salt and pepper, maybe a little hot sauce.
You don't do scattered, smothered, covered?
No. I don't want. It's enough for me with the eggs. Like it's like that's what I want. I want the eggs and the potato. You know what I mean?
Right.
The seasoning and
do they sometimes
a little Tabasco?
Do they sometimes not understand you when you give your order at the Waffle House?
No, I used to have a hard time just asking for a glass of water. Like in some place in the South, they're like, water? What? Water. I'd have to say it like that. Oh, water.
Your accent is actually kind of, it really could go either way.
All the time now I get Australian.
Right.
Because I think it's a sort of English with an American, a relaxed American sort
right.
of ism.
Certainly the R's are gone, but many times when we're talking, it's like you could pass.
Yeah, I'm never going to say grass, glass. I'm always going to say grass, glass.
But not grass.
Grass, no, it's probably not as pronounced as it used to be.
Right.
Not like Alan.
Alan, I'm telling you, Alan has been, since before you anyway, the best interviewer a real gem.
He's the best.
Like he's right out of those movies, you know what I mean?
To tolerate an event like this as a non-participant,
right.
You've got to have a sense of humor.
Well, and start drinking early.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question.
7 inches.
Well, that's no problem for those.
So what is your plan this weekend? Are you here all weekend? Are you wrestling?
Well, we have Mickey and I are in a mixed tag match tomorrow on Impact on the Multiverse show, and then on Saturday I'm one of the roasters at the Busted Open roast of Dave LaGreca.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
Is there a mixed tag title?
No.
Has there ever been one?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Perhaps you and I could.
I mean, there's enough wrestling couples at this point,
right?
That there could be quite a hotly contested championship.
How has nobody done this yet?
Yeah. Well, I think the question would be which promotion would keep control of it.
Right.
Maybe we should just create it. And
that's what I'm saying.
All the different promotions can just kind of vie for it.
Listen, I will treat you to some Waffle House.
Okay.
And we can discuss.
Oh, they flesh it out a little bit. Okay.